Good morning. Welcome to Morning Bean. So here's what's on my mind this morning. It's story time. But this time, it's a new week, it's a new day, and we're starting off on the good foot, as my father would say. So here's what happened. Years ago, I think it was about 2008, we had purchased a property, and we had done that about a year before this. But in 2008, there was a straight line windstorm that came through our area. Now, a straight line windstorm, it's sort of kind of like a tornado, but not a tornado. It can be destructive, kind of like a tornado, but it's not a tornado. I had never heard of a straight line windstorm before this point, before this ever happened. So here's how it all started. I had gone into Omaha, and our then employee was with me. I had my daughter in her carrier, my son was in his car seat. We get to our customer's business because we're there to check on our tea supply, make sure everything's okay, and just, basically do some customer service and check in with our customer, right? And we're getting out of the car and getting the carrier out, and she's getting my son, and we're looking around like, God, it just seems a little weird because it was kind of dark, and it was sort of sudden that this was happening. We look over toward because this is near a park, so we kind of look that direction, and we're like, something about that doesn't look right. And it was almost like this dark wall had appeared. I'm like, holy shit. And so I'm like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. So we go inside. Meanwhile, the staff in this business, it's a grocery store, we're all kind of looking outside and looking out the windows. I'm like, oh, hell no, we're getting out of this situation. I said, let's go to the back of the store, Because I'm on high alert. I got my two babies with me, my employee with me. I'm like, we need to get out of the way we don't need to be near the glass. Don't go near the glass. That was my whole thing. And things are just not settling. So I'm like, well, let's go down to the basement. Maybe we need to go down to the basement. Because at this point, we don't even know what it is. We don't know if it's just some strange storm. We don't know if it's a tornado. We don't know anything. We don't hear sirens going off. It's just really weird. Now, if you've ever been around tornadoes, you know that the sky just changes to this really strange greenish color. It's very odd. That isn't exactly what happened here. It was more like this wall was coming through, and it was dark, and it was just odd. So I'm like, well, let's go down to the basement. So we start to go down the basement, but the basement is flooding with water. And we're like, oh, shit. So then we come back up, and we're at the back of the store. We're staying at the back of this store, crouched down, trying to cover the kids and all of this because we don't know what's happening. The rain's coming, all this shit's happening. When it finally settles down, we go out to the car's fine. We're like, okay, cool. And I start to head home. And we're going that way, and she's with me because we're going to check on some things. And we go, and my neighbor stops me before I get to the house. Stops me. We live off gravel roads. And he's like, you don't really want to see it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Now, I'm driving by fields that don't look like fields anymore. These were fields that had the corn, and all of it's been just lopped off. It's just gone. Everything is just gone in these fields. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened out here? And he's like, you just be ready, right? There's trees down. I've got to navigate around these things to get to our property. And as I'm approaching our property, I'm like, well, what's he talking about? And I'm looking at the house, and like, what? It looked like our house was covered with like leaves, like, oh, it'd been a storm, a bunch of leaves and everything. No, that's not what it was. There were holes throughout the house, all throughout the siding, all this, because of the storm that had come through. And there was a lot of damage. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of damage. Lots and lots of damage. And it took a long time to get this all cleaned up. But that's not the point of this story. Here's the point of the story. We weren't the only people affected by this, obviously, right? And we had a neighbor, a woman who was recently widowed, right next to us, right? And I'm out on our deck trying to clean things up, and she came over to help me clean up. And she's like, it's just one of those things. In order to feel better, you have to help other people. That's how you get through it. You help other people. And I'm paraphrasing. That's essentially what she was saying. For her to feel good, she had to help other people. For me to feel good, I had to help other people. And that spread. That way of looking at it spread. We were surrounded by just a mess. Everywhere I turned, it was just a mess. I mean, we had a basketball hoop that was at one point like this, and then just like that. And I made a joke and said, well, now our son can reach the hoop. And that's really what we see time and time again, right? If you've ever been in a circumstance where something was devastating in your environment, when people came together, people started to feel better. And unfortunately, I've been in these circumstances more than once. But that is the thing that I see all the time, is when people come together and they start to help other people, we start to feel better. And one of the reasons that is because of something called the broaden and build theory. And a woman named a Dr. Barbara Fredrickson studied this, and it's her theory, broaden and build. And it's about positive emotions and how they can help build resilience. Things like joy, right? How these things can build resilience, and how helping other people can help us to do that. Because emotions are contagious. And we all know this, even without studying it, we know this. When someone is scared, how do you know they're scared? Before you've actually said anything to them. How do you know? It's the expression on their face. It's the energy that precedes them. You know. We know that emotions are contagious. And so when we can focus on the positive side of things, the positive emotions, and build on those, it opens up, literally opens up our vision. Because what happens when we're fearful, when we have those negative emotions, it closes off our vision. We become extremely focused. Just think about it for a minute. How are you? How do you act when you're fearful? Become extremely focused on the situation at hand. But when we're not threatened and we're not fearful, we open that up and we start to look at things around us more and maybe a little bit differently. And so that's how I want us to start our week this week, on the good foot, as my father would say. Go look for two things. One, look for an opportunity to help someone else. That'll help you and help them. And two, find something positive today and focus on that. Look for the positive. It could be anything. Maybe it's somebody holding the door open for you or for someone else. And that's the positive. I don't know. It could be anything. But seek out the positive, because when you do that and you make that a habit, your whole perspective shifts on things. And I've done this for a very long time. I can't stay down very long. I mean, it's not that I ignore the negative. We need the negative emotions. I mean, that we need our entire emotional package needs to be intact, right? For us to be humans. The difference, though, is that I don't stay down long. So, as an example, I've given myself this time to share story times that were constructive, in my view, since the election, to share stories that hopefully allow people to have some empathy for people who don't look like them. And now I'm done. I said this was coming. I'm done. It's time to move back to positive emotions and rebound. Just get out there and have fun, a little bit more fun. And it's eyes wide open, right? Not ignoring things. But there's a whole lot of positive happening in the world, and we just need to remember that. Amidst the shit, there's a whole lot of positive. So find that positive. See you later.